What is up, everybody? It's your boy Travis, aka Matsu, here from PPG, and today I'm bringing you the deck that I got top 4 at the recent Omaha Yu-Gi-Oh! Regionals. There was about 180 people, and I ended in 4th place with a record of 5 wins, 0 losses, and 2 draws. So I was technically undefeated. This deck's sick. Without further ado, let's get right into the profile. Make sure you guys check out PPG for all your singles and sealed product needs, all that good stuff. Check out my channel, Yo It's Matsu. And before I forget, shout outs to Ethan Schwarten and Philip Burton for lending me a lot of the cards I needed for this deck. You guys are the GOATs, and shout outs to everyone at my locals for also helping me test and all that cool stuff. Let's get right into it. So I played branded Chimera. So we'll start with the Chimera Package. I played the pretty standard 3 Sword Knight, 3 Coatl, 2 Berfomet. I think I would honestly bump this up to 3 because it comes up a lot in the grind game. And like, yes, you don't want to draw this, but at the same time, drawing this is even worse when you're only playing 2 copies of the card in your deck, because it means that your grind game is just a lot worse. And then the 3 Chimera Fusion. These cards are busted. Who would have thought that a non-once per turn polymerization that also gets itself back from grave is really good and is a quick play spell? It's actually nuts. These guys are a targeting. So this is a targeting negate while you control the Chimera name. So specifically, like this guy and the other dudes that say they become the Chimera name while they're on the field or in your grave. And then Mirror Sword Knight is the same thing, but as a monster negate for a monster your opponent controls. So basically, just by doing your combo, you get 2 free interrupts, which is crazy, and then you also get to rip a card out of their hand. It's just, this deck's so free. It's just so free. On to the next package, or actually, before I forget, we're also playing 3 Gazelle, arguably the most important part of the package. This card gives you follow-up. This card gives you a another normal. Not that the deck really lacks those. It's just something that you can normal if you just need to find the Chimera Fusion and you need to find it fast. This also plays around draw when you do that as well. Because if they draw you, you just have the combo more than likely. So you can just, like, if you have to, you can set, like, Chimera Fusion and then just, like, pass and make a Chimera on their turn to get your pluses off. On to the next package. So we played the Patchwork Engine. Pretty standard, just 5-card engine. 2 Patchwork, 2 Chain, 1 Poly. So we played the second Patchwork because you can put the Poly back with Magnum the Reliever, so to draw a card, and then that makes your second Patchwork live, which is crazy. So like if you just open the, or if you open Patchwork itself, you go Patchwork to add this and this, and then somewhere along the lines of your combo, you make Magnum using the Chain and the Poly, and then the Chain searches you a second copy of this, and then Magnum puts this back to draw a card so you can use your Patchwork next turn, which is crazy. It's very good. On to the next engine, we have the Brandon engine. So I think this is probably the only thing about my deck that's not like super standard, except for maybe my going second like stuff. So we played 2 Aliber, or 1 Aliber and 2 branded opening. I never wanted to open this, so I didn't want to play 2. And then like we didn't really need the opening. Like we have essentially 6 branded fusions right here, so including the Mirror Sword Knight, which is a starter, and then also technically Gazelle is a starter as well, and then like Cornfield. So like you're basically playing like 15 to 18 starters, depending on how you look at things. And so this deck just has no trouble getting to its combo, really. The only time you like break is when you draw too many normals, so that's why we're only playing one Albaz and one Albert. I almost never had this come up to where like, oh no, my branded fusion is dead. Like that just like wasn't a thing, because I could always shuffle it back with Lubellion or like just a bunch of different things. Like there are ways you can get around having this in your graveyard. On to the next one. Oh, and in case you were curious, this is how we make Dragoon. The only reason we really play it. There are some niche lines that come up where you use it as Albaz in Grave to make a thing with like Albion or Lubellion, but not Banished. Make sure you don't use this from Banished, because you can't use it from Banished when you're fusion summoning as Albaz. Onto the going second cards, we have a Thrust package. So I played okay. So I played 3 talents and evenly a Herald of the Abyss and 2 thrusts. So these cards were crazy. These cards were actually broken this entire weekend. The amount of times, or the entire day, I should say. The amount of times where my opponent went hand trap me, and then I just naturally had the Chimera Fusion Engine in hand already, and I went make the level 6 Chimera, end phase rip a card from your hand. TTT, look at your hand, take your best card, and then they're just playing on a 3-card hand. Which the only hand trap that doesn't play into this is specifically Imperm, I believe, doesn't play into this. So like, I don't know, pretty good. I expected to lose a lot of my die rolls, so that's part of the reason I was playing Thrust, because this card is crazy. Going second, just being able to tutor evenly or Herald or the TTTs or Branded Fusion or Patchwork, like, it's just the actual nuts. Just such a good package. And then it also single-handedly makes our Prairie matchup a lot better, because we can Thrust for Herald of the Abyss and then cook them with it. And that's one of this deck's worst matchups, so. More going second cards. It was 3 Ash, 3 Fenrir. Yeah, I mean, it's just really generic going second cards. This card's also good going first, because you do this and then once you've like gone through the part of your combo where Droll can cook you, you use it to search another one, so you have extra material for like your Guardian Chimera on their turn. And then it's also just good follow-up, and it like solos the Unchained board if they don't immediately out it. Like, you literally summon this card and they have to use Blue Dog to link, or they have to use the trap to pop this. Otherwise, you just go grab another Fenrir and then you're like, go to battle. You just destroy them. And then, yeah, Ash, really generic. Good against a bunch of the things in the format. Every deck has choke points for the most part, so. The last set of going second cards, Super Poly balance card. Why is this at 3? Someone please at Konami tell me why. Yeah, this card's just broken. Every time I drew this, it was actually like the most insane thing, except for specifically in my last round against Rescue Ace was the only time where Super Poly was bad, and that was because I top decked it when I was super low on resources. And so like, when you only have 2 cards in hand and you have to find a way to a starter and also be able to Super Poly them, it's rough. But that's the only time. Every other time, card's broken as hell. And then 1 End of Anubis, 1 Called Die. These cards got sided out going second every single time. This card's fine, but you need to be aware of when to use it. You never shotgun this. If you're shotgunning this, you're shutting off like half of your grave effects. almost all of your recursion. You're hurting yourself probably more than you're hurting your opponent. You usually do this as like a response because if it checks on resolution. So like if you respond to an effect that's activating Engrave to summon this, that the effect will attempt to resolve, and then it'll resolve negated because of End of Anubis. So that's usually what you do with it. It's just very good. And then Called By is Called By. I don't know. Cooks people. Don't hand trap me, please. I'm begging you. On to the extra deck. We're gonna start with the Chimera stuff. Extra deck is a mess. Sorry. So we are playing 2 of the level 6 that sends a card from their hand to the grave at random during the end phase, and then is also a reborn for a beast, fiend, or illusion. And then one of the dude that foolishes a beast, fiend, or illusion. That's how we send End of Anubis. Apologies. So that's how we send End of Anubis, and then also 2 Guardian Chimera, and then 1 Chimera the Illusion Beast for the OTK potential. There was a game where I used Lubellion to make this with like 4 illusions, and I just killed them with 15,000 damage. It was pretty sick. Little overkill, but the line got there. And then yeah, this is just the most broken Chimera in the extra deck, to be honest. You usually use one of these going first and going second. So like if you're going second, you use this to make a board or to break a board, and then you use the second copy to make sure that they can't come back, basically. And all that time you're just getting so many resources off of these, because usually when you activate to fuse these, you're also like resolving 2 other grave effects that are netting you value at the same time. It's just crazy. This deck does just actually so much for like no reason. It's just so free. Oh, and I guess technically I can also include Magnum the Reliever in this package, because this is, I mean, another way we are making the card is through the Chimera Fusion. You can also make this with Poly. It's how you shuffle back your Poly for Patchwork, basically, and then it's also randomly an interruption. So, card's pretty fine, I think. I didn't actually make it that much. I think it came up once. Rinbrum, this is the branded fusion package. We play 5. I don't think I would ever run more than 1 of any of these. They all served their purpose, basically. I only had to summon Dragoon once. Other than that, it like wasn't super crazy this weekend. Because a lot of the time my just like base Chimera board was good enough to kill people and like just put them so low on resources that they can't come back. But when it was good, it was good. The Rinbrum, we use Branded Fusion to send Gazelle, and then Gazelle finds us Mirror Sword Knight for free, which is pretty sick. This line does play into Droll though, so you have to be aware of that when you're doing it. But otherwise, if it resolves, you just get a free interruption during your opponent's turn, which is basically 2 interruptions because you leave the Albaz in your graveyard. Then you can use that to make Mirror Jade. So it's actually just 3 interruptions, like basically, because once they kill this, like they've gone through this, you use it to special summon back your Albaz, and then your Albaz is an interrupt, and then your Mirror Jade is also an interrupt, which gets you follow-up for next turn, or rather an extra card. I won't say follow-up because usually in that line, you don't have the Albaz in deck to make your Branded Fusions live anymore, but that's fine. Yeah, I don't know. Card's great. On to the 3 super poly targets. Yeah, Mud Dragon, just basically the best ones. Mud Dragon, Garura, Predaplant. Really not much to say about these. Technically, all of these are also summonable with your Chimera Fusion and your Poly, so like that's something to be aware of as well. But But also, the other cool thing is, like, because you're playing Albaz, if you ever hard draw the Albaz, all of these are also super poly targets. There's also a really funny line where if you're playing against, like, Dragon Link or something, this isn't usually going to come up, but if you're playing against Dragon Link and you open the one of Light Hexfield Fusion in your hand and you have a Super Poly, you can normal summon Light Hexfield Fusion and then Super Poly for Dragoon. And that's kind of funny. It's a really neat interaction. But yeah, usually that's not going to come up. Technically, it could also come up against Vanadium if they end on Dissipator. You just normal summon that and then do the Dissipator thing and you can do whatever. And then on to the side deck. We played 3 Kaijus, because like I said, our Pearly matchup was abysmal. 3 Bestials and 3 Drolls for the Mirror and Vanadium. And then also the Horus decks. These cards are just good. Your Vanadium matchup is already super easy for the most part. I played against 3 Vanadium players at the event and I cooked all of them 2-0, I believe. These cards are just so crazy and your deck's already really good against that deck. Just because of like what you're doing. You can interrupt them enough to where they just can't even play most of the time. They just have to hard open like droplets or imperm. More thrust targets. The Lightning Storm for back row decks. Everyone, for the most part, is putting their monsters in defense mode to play around this usually. So like, you're rarely ever using it for that. So don't board it in for that if you're thinking about it. This is usually just for the back row decks, and then like, if your opponent's playing like a heavy link spam deck or something, which doesn't really come up that often. The Duster for the same reason. Back row decks, we hate them. Dark Ruler no more, because good thrust target, and then evenly matched, another good thrust target. And then last card, we played 1 Tax Dragon for Dime, which didn't actually come up. I know I had 2 draws, but the games where I drew, it was so inconceivable to want to bring this card in because there were like 15 minutes left on the clock, and yet it still went to Dime. But it is what it is. Anyways, thanks everyone for watching. I really appreciate it. Like, comment, share, subscribe, do all that cool stuff. Go check out PPG Store yet again, where you can get all your singles and sealed product. This has been Travis, signing out.